friends and fellow sim historians, welcome back to another episode of my Victorian Sims 2 challenge. We are diving straight in today with a little bit of drama that I did not plan, as tends to happen with this game. So I was hanging out with Gregory Westerfield at the local pub when, lo and behold, I discovered that Daisy has been sleeping with Cecil Harvey. Now, for those of you new here, Daisy is engaged, but not to Cecil. She is engaged to the man of the hour, the man we are all obsessed with, Septimus Oliver. At least everyone but Lady Simmer. But it's fine. It's fine. We don't need to roast her for her bad taste in men. And so I was just really shocked that this happened because it happened entirely autonomously. And of course, Daisy goes downstairs at the pub to grab a drink because, let's be real, after you cheat on your fiance, the least you can do is have a drink. And I don't think she was expecting Cecil to actually follow her and have a drink with her as well. I'm pretty sure she was just kind of like one and done about this situation. But Cecil doesn't quite get the memo, even though Cecil, as you can see, is married. We've got a lot of chaos happening here that I was not prepared for, as usual. Yeah, so you can see his ring. I don't think Cecil looks very torn up about this, to be honest. It seems like Daisy maybe feels a little bit of guilt about the situation. I don't think Daisy planned on this. I don't think this was a predetermined affair. I think this was a bit of a last minute decision that probably shouldn't have happened. So we're gonna head back to the main household today. We introduced you to their new estate. This is the French Longbourn house that I created. It is available for download on my Tumblr if you want it. I spent a lot of time, probably about like 3 months, decorating and building this. So it looks pretty nice. So I figure it's about time that we actually have another maid of all work in our series. This is Meredith Ellie. She is from Brittany, France, from a small fishing town. She moved here with her little sister Lisanne. If you're part of the Discord, you have seen Lisanne get married to Joseph Sully recently, so she is part of this like lower class. This would be a pretty big standing for her, as this is probably one of like 3 big houses in New Whitby at the moment. And she's a little bit eccentric. We do see her kind of bird watching outside of the house instead of going in for her interview. And so Marisol has kind of like taken it upon herself to really be in charge of the like hiring of their maid of all work. And we're at that point in the generation that we are kind of running out of available Sims for domestic servants, because I jumped the gun and decided to just get them all married, because you know I am obsessed with having my neighborhood have like over 100 something Sims and just keep going. It's gonna be great. My game is not going to implode at some point. Marisol does sit Meredith down in her father's study. This is kind of where a lot of the business around the house occurs, and so she's going to interview her in here. Ultimately, she's a bit of an odd character, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, she seems qualified, she seems excited and passionate, and even if she's a little bit of an oddball, they think that she might be a good staple to the King household. And let's be real, they don't have a lot of other options because things are moving very quickly in New Whitby and this house is really, really big. So I do decide to hire her on, and we give her some like autonomous items from the Sun and Moon factory. And so she has like a little dustpan in her inventory, a fireplace poker. She's got some logs and like cut wood stacked in her inventory as well. So that way she can autonomously keep track of the fire, keep them tended, light them every morning, because this is a big house. I think we've got 4 fireplaces, maybe a few more, and I really want to keep them lit at all times. We are kind of entering fall at the moment, so it's really about time to start making sure that my Sims are warm for the winter, because this is the 19th century and we don't have central heating. Their eldest son, Ernest, on the other hand, is a very strong family sim, and he's very upset by the fact that he doesn't have a family yet. We know that Ernest tried to court Annalise Harvey, which is Cecil's sister. However, Annalise ended up sleeping with their younger brother Charles. Do you remember when the King family was like the wholesome family in town, and like just like nice and kind to each other and always enjoyed spending time as a family? And now I come here and I'm like, this affair, all of which autonomous. So Daisy was actually the one who caught Charles and Annalise in bed. She didn't learn her lesson, apparently. But Cornelius is finally home from work. Cornelius is the local mayor in town, and he has a very busy schedule. He's honestly not home a whole lot, but his children are really enjoying the recreational time. Ernest doesn't actually have a job yet. We haven't quite decided what to do with him. He's honestly a little bit ambling and not really sure what to do with his life at the moment, because he really thought that he would be married by now. There hasn't been another woman in town that he has been particularly interested in or has met that he is excited about. So at this point, I think he's maybe just kind of waiting around for his parents to sort of sort things out with their friends, because the Kings are a big family in town. They have connections and they can, they can figure it out. I did also want to point out that we gave Meredith a maid of all work look for her. I decided to do some blue dresses in the King household. Just, steer away from like some of the traditional black dresses. Have some fun, have some color. I think it'll be good. Next morning, the girls are playing with the telescope and having a little gossip with their mom. Daisy has kind of taken it upon herself to be a little bit mischievous at this point. So she is kind of like spying on Melissa Clark across the street, which like isn't great, because we end up having Melissa Clark walk into the house and yell and slap people, and it's like kind of a whole thing, and I'm not super happy about it. I kind of wish I could disable that, because like they're not gonna know that they're being spied on, right? I mean, it is a bit of fun drama. Cornelius also has the flu at the moment. I am having a very hard time eradicating the flu from the King household. Their lot is so big, and that means that they're like mailbox and trash can is very far away from the actual house on the lot. And because Daisy has made some enemies now, we have people coming over and kicking their trash can over, which, as you know, leads to roaches and rats. And so we've got little bit of a flu issue happening because of that, but hopefully we'll kick it soon. Cecil actually does stop by. He's not here to see Daisy. He is actually here to see Cornelius. However, Daisy has to inform him that Cornelius is at work, as is her mother, who is actually a school teacher. Louisa did not want to give up her career as a school teacher when they moved into the new house. At some point, she's probably gonna have to retire. I think once she becomes an elder, I'm probably gonna have her retire pretty quickly. This is Bertram and Della's little cottage. We have some of the King family members here to call on them, because as you might remember, Della and Louisa are just thick as thieves. They're great friends. They both grew up on a farm. Della grew up on an orchard in Alfreda Isle, and so they both have these kind of humble beginnings before they actually sort of engage in this much higher aristocratic lifestyle. Although I wouldn't call Bertie and Della aristocratic, I would say they're staunchly middle class. This is Della's daughter from her first marriage. This is Rosabelle. I am obsessed with Rosabelle. if you're on the Discord, you know that I'm obsessed with Rosabelle, but I think she has the biggest eyes and she's so cute. And so Della and Louisa have been exchanging letters about Rosabelle and Ernest. Now, they don't have any idea about this at this moment. They actually call on them thinking, like, let's kind of announce to them that we would really expect and appreciate a union between our families. And of course, all of the other kids are outside playing with like water balloons and with Ernest, he's just outside having an existential crisis about the fact that he is not married and with kids. I feel so bad for Ernest. Like, this entire episode, he's just sitting in the yard crying and doing the little worrying interaction, and it makes me feel so bad because, like, I'm not mistreating him. He is obviously very well taken care of. And so Louisa and Della do inform them of their intentions. Ernest goes outside and Rosabelle follows, and I try to just have them have a conversation because they're so awkward in their sitting room, and obviously they're still really weird. This is her little brother Percival, who is here to kind of chaperone the situation per his parents' request. And I cannot get Rosabelle and Ernest to actually like interact with each other. Like, the one way they're not like weird and kind of yelling at each other is when they are throwing this ball back and forth. Rosabelle is actually very athletic and fitness is one of her like hobbies. It's actually her one true hobby, I believe. And so she's really happy that Ernest will at least like hang out with her. And meanwhile, Louisa and Della have no idea that their kids are kind of like not about this arranged marriage, and they're inside, talking about how great it will be to be like part of each other's families, and they can actually like engage with each other on a new level, because it's one thing to be friends, but it's another to be like in-laws. And in this period, that's kind of a big deal. It would also be a really, really good marriage for Rosabelle. However, as you can see here, we have some issues. Ernest is trying pretty hard. I think Ernest is kind of like, you know what? This is fine. I'm unhappy. I want to be married. I want to fulfill my paternal duties here. But she is just not feeling it. Rosabelle is very frustrated every time that Ernest tries to talk to her about the future. She still feels kind of young, and her brother only has a few more weeks at home before he moves off to be a tutor for the Averys, her twin brother. That's Hiram. You've seen him around a little bit last episode too. And Hiram and Rosabelle are as close as can be. They are twins through and through and care about each other significantly. And so Rosabelle's just not ready to leave her family yet. And poor Ernest, he's trying so hard. He's like, okay, you like games, you like fitness, let's play Red Hands. And she's like, absolutely not. Ernest, no, guys, stop. Please just stop fighting. Can we not do this? I'm just like trying so hard to get you to get along. This isn't even like autonomously, well, this is autonomously because I am controlling them. I'm telling each other simply to talk to each other, not to argue, and it just turns into arguing. So our plan is not exactly going well. This was the plan that I had for them. I have always been under the impression that they would be a good match. At least that's sort of what we've been planning for the last few weeks. And now that it's actually coming to fruition, I can't even get them to have a civil conversation with each other. Like, their relationship is in the red. That's not good. That's actually like kind of a problem. Birdie is very, very pleased with this match. He comes from the Jung family, which has a lot of like social issues. I mean, they've got quite a few scandals in town, and Birdie has his own scandal in town with the possible arson of his sister Mary's house. That was, never ruled that it was Birdie's fault, but like, it could have been. It could have been. And so Bertie is, of course, telling Roosevelt that you have to go through with this marriage. We've already agreed with his mother, Louisa, and like, if Cornelius lets this happen, you have to do it. And Roosevelt is having none of it. She does not want her father or her stepfather to tell her what to do here. This is Meadowlark Hall. And Meadowlark Hall is a new building in town. And we have like a ballroom essentially with a little stage for some harps and some violins. We've got over in the right here a whist card room. And then on the other side to the left, we just have some dining and a buffet table. So I thought we really needed a space for some proper social events where we actually have enough room for dancing, because at the moment we're just kind of like converting people's parlors into ballrooms and it's not working super well. So we have Louisa, Philippa, and Delphine, as well as Mrs. Avery, Lucinda Avery here. And they are thinking about purchasing Meadowlark Hall since it recently came on the market to use as a society hall in town so they could plan events. And these are probably the most prominent women in town. They have a lot of social power. So if they purchase this hall and start actually planning society events here, things are going to go pretty well. It's also kind of funny because Louisa's the youngest one here, but she will age up into an elder, I think, next rotation, maybe the rotation after that. So she's not that far behind, but I'm so upset. I was talking with some people about this in the Discord, but Philippa like might die next rotation. She's been an elder for a while and I'm just like, I'm not ready. I'm absolutely not ready. That breaks my heart a little bit. I feel like Philippa is kind of like a feminist icon in this town and we really kind of need her. So they do decide to purchase Meadowlark Hall. Daisy. Oh my god. That is right. Daisy is pregnant. And it's not Septimus's baby. I made Septimus and Pooklet specifically to marry Daisy. I'm so upset. This was not supposed to happen. Why? Okay, so Daisy goes to their maid Meredith and is trying to ask for some advice. I think she makes this really horrible assumption that because Meredith is lower class that she would know how to maybe abort the baby. However, Meredith is deeply Protestant. She does not believe in like aborting babies in this period. She's very upset by the fact that Daisy would ask her to be involved in this, and of course ends up crying and arguing with Daisy. And so Daisy is sort of putting herself in a very bad situation. And Meredith is also very concerned about her job status, because if the Kings have a scandal and go under, she could lose her job. Obviously, that's not going to happen because the Kings are well off, and even if Cornelius like loses his job as mayor, it's not going to ruin her because she's simply help for the house. But you can see that she's deeply troubled by the scenario. She's deeply worried about Daisy, about the future of this baby. It's kind of obvious that Daisy is pregnant to her family. She can't hide it very well from Louisa, who has had several pregnancies and several miscarriages. So I think Louisa is hoping that because she had particularly bad births that it might miscarry and this whole situation can go away. The house is sort of in uproar. No one has told Cornelius yet. Cornelius would have no idea. And so we have a rainy, sour, upsetting day in the King household where everyone is really, really tense. Daisy admires herself in the mirror, trying to see if anyone could tell that she is pregnant, and most importantly, could Septimus tell? Now, their wedding is not planned yet for a few more months, and so we do run the risk of Septimus noticing. He is a doctor, so she comes up with this plan to invite Septimus over and maybe kind of woo him. As we've seen in some other episodes, Daisy and Septimus are very romantic with each other and kind of can't keep their hands off each other. So she's complimenting Septimus, like, you look really smart today, and like, maybe we could have some privacy. And at first Septimus is like, yes, who are you? This is fantastic. However, you can see that he does notice that something is different about Daisy, the way that she's carrying, the way that she's walking. And Septimus, as we've said before, is a doctor. He would notice these things. So he is very upset because he obviously knows that this child isn't hers, and he's frustrated because it seems like Daisy is trying to trick him into sleeping with her, and he knows that this is not Daisy's normal behavior. Daisy has kind of gone off the rocker trying to fix this situation because this is a very big deal in this period, and she doesn't want it to reflect poorly on her family. She also doesn't want to lose her job as a midwife. As we can see, unfortunately, Septimus does decide to end their engagement. Louisa and Cornelius overhear the commotion downstairs. They hear that Septimus has left their daughter, and Cornelius is distraught at the thought of ruin. He is the mayor in town. He is held to certain standards. Louisa, of course, is like, you know what? It's gonna be okay. We will love this child no matter what. Your father will get over it. Don't worry. We will take care of you. And Marisol, who was making Daisy's wedding dress from scratch. Marisol is a bit of an aspiring sewer and is very excited about fashion, and so she was making Daisy's dress, and now she's like, what am I supposed to do with this dress that I made specifically for my sister, who will not fit in this dress and who will not be having a wedding after all? And basically it is decided that the dress will go to Rosabelle when Rosabelle and Ernest get married. Septimus is trying to save face with her father, Cornelius, and Cornelius is so frustrated that Septimus will not go through with the wedding. But of course, like, what can Septimus do? Like, we can't really blame him in this scenario. And so, to distract from a little bit of the drama, it is time for Ernest and Rosabelle to get married. I know this was fast, but their parents kind of had to push it on them to get them to actually go through with it. We have our first wedding at the Lawson Wendland Theater in town, and it's a bit of a ballet performance while they get married. The local priest, Alan Smith, is here to marry them because Della is very Catholic, and the only way she agreed to this kind of extravagant, sort of ridiculous wedding was if the Catholic priest married them. So we have Ernest and Rosabelle. Rosabelle is technically still a teenager in the game, but you know that my teenagers after 7 days are considered young adults by me, so we're not trying to make this be weird. I mean, you can make it weird, but we're not trying to make it be weird, okay? And so they stand here, and it seems like Rosabelle is in slightly better spirits. She agrees and goes through with the vows because she understands that she doesn't really have a choice in the matter. The wedding happens. They have a huge turnout. This is probably the biggest wedding we've ever done in my game. We've got like 30 Sims involved in this, and it's a beautiful ceremony. Everyone is happy. This benefits the Jungs exponentially. If you would have asked me if I thought there would be a Jung and King wedding anytime soon, I probably would have laughed at you, but only for Rosabelle and only because I am obsessed with her. No other reason. And so everyone is delighted. You can see Cornelius is like, thank God I at least have one child married. Like, at least at least one kid didn't like sleep with someone, and like Cornelius is beside himself. And you can see Bertram over to the right clapping as well, like, thank God we have finally gotten past the drama. Little does he know that drama is about to encapsulate the entire King family in the next few days, when it is very apparent that Daisy is pregnant. She is starting to show. This is a few days later. So she's already in her second trimester at the moment at the wedding. But you know what? She decided to come to the wedding anyways, because it's her brother and family is important to Daisy. And so we do have the reception at the local Meadowlark Hall that was recently purchased. So this is the first big event that we are having at Meadowlark, and I'm so happy because look at how many Sims I can have dancing, enjoying each other's company in the ballroom. I've always dreamed of having my first Sim event where we have this many people dancing in one room, because when I would have it at the Price's household, they would always like go to different rooms to dance, and I couldn't actually get this big like image of everyone dancing together in proper historical style. And of course there's also going to be room for those group dances, the stomp and dance stuff. Daisy needs a little bit of air. She can hear people whispering about her, so she goes outside and kind of chaperones while the newlywed couples play a little game of kicky bag. I imagine that Ernest was pretty much like, you know what, like, let's play a few games, because he knows that she felt a lot of pressure to dance with him because it is their wedding and it's a little bit complicated. However, after playing some games outside, taking a breather, she does agree to dance with her new husband in a move that absolutely shocked me. I tried to make them slow dance and I was just like, this isn't gonna work. This is gonna be dramatic. I'm just gonna have this dramatic scene where Roosevelt stops off and it's a whole thing. But instead, she actually agrees. And I was shocked. Meanwhile, Cornelius is having a socially induced existential crisis because he cannot stand the fact that his daughter is, you know, in ruin at the moment, and it's obviously hitting Cornelius a little more than it's hitting even Daisy herself. Oh, poor Cornelius. I feel like he's always crying in the corner of my frame somewhere, and it's just, he feels so much pressure, you know, to really be engaged with his children's lives. And look at this, we even get Ernest to like rest his head on his new bride, not without a few outbursts. As we see, Rosabelle is kind of throwing a fit. I think she got a little bit overwhelmed at how close they were being, and okay, so they fell in love and immediately fell out of love. Is that just what happened? Guys, can't you just go in one direction? Like, can I just have one couple go in a clear, linear direction? Please. Apparently not. Because then Marisol is caught in the bathroom, in the powder room, alone with Rainier Harvey. They're not doing anything, but they still shouldn't be alone with each other, so that's great. So Cornelius sees them, he does intervene, and is like, young lady, get out of here. Get out of here right now. I will not deal with another episode like this. Oh my god. So that is kind of a crisis averted. Nothing happened. No one saw it but Cornelius. And now Cornelius is kind of like, did we not raise our children morally and ethically? And now we have an issue. Cecil, as you see, is here and thankfully has been avoiding Daisy. It's very obvious to Cecil now that Daisy is pregnant. He understands that it is probably his, but Cecil is married. He has a young child of his own with his wife Susanna, who is over here talking to Bertie, and so there's really nothing that he can socially do about it. And while Daisy's parents don't know, you know, who exactly fathered Daisy's baby, they have some suspicions, I would say. So they don't even know who to yell at to force them into marrying Daisy because Daisy refuses to tell anyone, because Daisy does have like some social acumen. She doesn't want to throw anyone under the bus because she was part and parcel in this ruin of her own. Ernest tries to convince his new bride to share a toast with him, and she's kind of like, I want none of this. Please stop. This is too much. I don't want to be around all of these people. Like, Ernest, just leave me alone. And so Ernest kind of figures out, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I'll step back. I'm just trying to do what I can. I don't know what you expect of me right now. Like, Ernest is being very sensitive. Look, they had a crush on each other again, and he just lost it. I'm sorry, Ernest. I know you're trying. I know you're trying so much. Roosevelt is just like, she is a little younger than you, and she's just a little unprepared for this moment. Philippa, however, is thoroughly enjoying herself. As we know, Philippa is a very big fan of public events, and so she ends up juggling glasses behind the bar because why wouldn't Philippa? You know? Why not? It's probably about time to end the party because we are starting to see people just like sitting on the floor. Cecil, have some class. Oh my god. Okay, maybe this is Cecil's fault. Maybe Cecil's actually the problem. So now that the wedding is over, it is time for Ernest and Roosevelt to retire to the bedchambers. This is Ernest's bedchambers, and he's already in his dressing gown. However, Roosevelt is still very uncomfortable with the whole thing. She hasn't removed her dress. She just kind of like sits down next to him. And Ernest is like, you know what? Like, we don't have to try for a baby tonight. Like, why don't we just go at your pace? We can wait. We can hold off. I'm okay waiting for when you're comfortable. And Roosevelt's kind of like, you know what? Once I like age up to an adult, I think I will feel more comfortable about this. But we can just like have a cuddle here, and they do, and it's really cute, and it's so nice to see Ernest kind of going at his own pace. So Daisy is now in her 3rd trimester. She's very, very obviously pregnant, and it's pretty much time to move her out and do something, you know. The family decides it's best for her to have her own place. So in lieu of a dowry, they actually purchase a little cottage for her. So everyone says goodbye to Daisy. The family is still very close despite the obvious scandalous decisions of their children. So it is still sad to see Daisy move out of the house. So here is Daisy's little garden cottage. I built it myself, and it is chock full of plants and beautiful gardens. I absolutely love it. It's very small. It's very humble. I mean, as you can see, it's not that humble. We've actually got quite a lot of fancy stuff here. But it is, it's not a large space, and Daisy wouldn't want a large space because she didn't have the inheritance of someone else to move in with. It is still fairly small. It's just a 2-bedroom cottage, and it has a little peach and nectarine orchard in the back garden and this cute little swing on the side garden as well. So I love this. It's also available for download on my Tumblr. I can link that stuff below if you want any of my things, whether or not you want to use them or just use them for, you know, like custom content fodder, like totally fine with me. However, she does go into labor, and because Daisy is a midwife, she feels very fit to go into labor by herself. She doesn't call anyone. She understands the process. She doesn't think there are going to be any complications, and God forbid she calls Septimus to deliver this baby. I mean, that would just be a mess. So she has a little girl, and she names her Ebba Claire. So this is Ebba Claire King, and she's an absolute cutie. She does have the brown hair and slightly tanner skin of her father. But yeah, so that is where we're going to end off today. I know we had like a lot of weird marital drama. I say weird like most of my episodes aren't relationship drama, but like, okay, I love relationship drama, and I know some of you do as well. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give a like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. All right, see you next time.